Writing is essentially a reflection of individual life in society, from individual paradoxes, conflict, confusion to the society and history. Since you have touched upon various themes in your writings, what actually has guided and inspired you to do that?
Well, my main inspiration comes from the natural world around me, from the mountains and the trees and forests and the rivers and streams. So you could call me a nature writer. And I also write for children. So that writing has to be very simple and clear. And I have to convey to them something of the importance of the world around them and the environment around them. And so I'm very fortunate to be living in a place like this, up in the mountains, where I can draw from nature and the life of the people around me.
You know that in the last 10-20 years, a lot of changes are taking place in the world society. One side is market economy is emerging, other side is peripheral voices are coming up. All these changes affect the writers at the same time. Do you think in what sense it has affected you, or has your writings reflected this kind of change?
Well, a writer is affected by the market economy just as anybody else is, because it is, after all, when all is said and done, it's a commercial activity. But a creative writer is concerned with human values, and these don't change that easily or that rapidly. After all, there are certain basic human values, family affection, the ties that bind people together, love of children, love of animals, and these things are common to humanity, regardless of external changes, or regardless of political situations or the economy. And these are the things I'm concerned with, not with vague concepts or abstract theorizing on the future of the world.
Can you just talk about some of your writings which you think can give that message which you want to give?
Yes, well, I've now lived here in the hills for about 30 years, and I've tried to reflect in my writings the life of the people around me, whether it's in the village or in the town. In a story called The Blue Umbrella, I've described life in a little village along the Tiri Road. And in Dust on the Mountain, I've described the effects of drought on the economy of the region, and how it even drives, say, young kids to come and work in the town or in the city. And then in Angry River, I've written about the effects of flood on a small family living on an inlet in the river, and so on. So you find that many of my stories, though they might be crafted in a simple manner or written for children, they will bring in larger issues related either to the environment or to social conditions. Up here in Missouri and in the surrounding areas for over 30 years, and I grew up in Dehradun, and you'll find that most of my books and stories are set in this region and reflect the life around me. My first book was The Room on the Roof, set in Dehradun, and later on a number of my children's books were written with the Garhwal Hills as the setting, and that includes The Blue Umbrella and Dust on the Mountain and several others. And in them I describe the natural surroundings and the beauties of nature, the flora and fauna of the area, and also the social conditions of the people. But these are never overtly stated. They are there in the background, and they serve to give more impetus and to the stories themselves.
You have been inspired, and you inspire a lot of people. If you don't mind, can you just reflect on your life?
Well, I began writing when I was a boy, just out of school, and I did my schooling in Simla, although my parents' home was in Dehradun. So I've seen different parts of the mountains, and first I began writing for adults when I was a young writer, and turned to writing for children only in my middle years. So, and I said, I'm inspired by the people I know, and by the hills around me, by the forests and mountains and streams, and hope to continue writing about them.
Okay, any other question? One more. You decided to live in Mussoorie. Can you tell something specific which is to Mussoorie?
Yes. As I said, I've lived in Mussoorie a long time, partly because I had connections with it as a boy, and this whole area, the Doon Valley, Mussoorie, is home ground for me. Also, when I wanted to write full time, and that was back in the 1960s, I threw up a job in Delhi and decided I'd come and live here. And I'd always had a soft spot for Mussoorie, and it's had a soft spot for me. And there are, of course, other hill stations, and some perhaps more spectacular, but this is the one where I feel at home.